Hello my sewing loves, welcome to another tutorial video. Here I'll be showing you how to make 15 different stunning necklines. This video is beginner friendly and also a practical class. So get your pattern paper, your pattern master and your marker, and let's get started. So there is a standard rule to have at the back of your mind when you are drafting your neckline, and the rule is the width of your neckline should be inversely proportional to the depth of your neckline. What I mean is, if the width of your neckline is wide, then your neckline should not be so deep. And if your neckline is deep, the width of your neckline should not be too wide, okay? If you make your neckline very wide and you make it very deep, your shoulder seam will not sit properly on your shoulder. You'll be having some funny look on the upper part of your dress and you won't like the fit. As we go on in the tutorial, you would have a better understanding of my explanation, alright? So we'll be starting with the sweetheart neckline. And for the sweetheart neckline, I'll be using a neck width of 4 inches, alright? And then I'll be using a neck depth of 7 inches. So, but this is dependent on what you want, you know, how deep you want it to be. For me, I don't want it to be revealing, which is why I'm using 7 inches, okay? And at that 7 inches mark, I would also put my width of 4 inches and then I'll make a square, just as you see me do. The sweetheart neckline is actually a very popular neckline. So after making the square, I'll come up by 3 inches, alright, and I'll make a point there, and then I'll use my pattern master to join the points together, just as you see me do. Watch how I place my pattern master, alright. So I'll join the points together and that's it. You can see how easy this neckline is. So I'll just go ahead to cut it out now. Alright, so this is what we have. So cute. Okay, so this is our sweetheart neckline. Alright, so I'll just label it and then we'll move to the next one. So the next neckline we'll be working on is the queen Anne neckline. And for the queen Anne neckline, the neck width should not be too wide, okay, so that it can sit properly on your neck. Okay, so I'll go ahead to use a neck width of 3 inches. You can do 2.5, you can do 3 inches, alright. And then I'll use a neck depth of 7 inches, depending on how deep you want it to be. You can do 6 inches, you can do 8 inches, depending on the depth that you want. And then I'll place my neck width of 3 inches on that mark, and then I'll square it up, just as you see me do. This queen Anne neckline is actually one of my favorite necklines. So I'll come up by 3 inches, and then I'll make a point there. And then from the armhole area, on that same mark, I'll come in by 2.5 inches, okay? So you can do 2 inches if you want, alright, depending on how wide you want that area to be. And then I'll join the points together with my pattern master, okay? So watch closely as I join the points carefully together and do yours the same way. So you can leave yours like this, straight like this if you like, but for me, I like to add some spice to it, okay? So I'll be giving it a little curve. Alright, I'll be giving it a little curve. So this is how I like my own queen Anne neckline. If you want yours straight, you can just leave yours like that, okay? So I'll go ahead to cut now. Alright, so this is what we have. So beautiful, right? I so love this neckline. Do you love it too? Let me know in the comment section if you love the queen Anne neckline. So let's go over to the next one. So the next neckline we're working on is actually a trendy neckline. Some people call it the W neckline, while others call it an inverted queen Anne neckline. Alright, so for the width, I'll be going in by 3 inches. And for the depth, I'll be using 6.5 inches. For how deep I want my neckline to be, I'll be using 6.5 inches. And then I'll mark the point. And then on that same mark, I'll go in by 4 inches, all right, depending on how wide you want this part to be, okay? Really, this is about preference, depending on how wide, how deep you want it to be. So for me, I'll be using 4 inches, all right? If you are not sure of how deep or how wide you want your neckline to be, you can first cut it on paper, you know, place it on your body, look into a mirror. Do you like how deep it is? If you want it deeper, you can then go ahead to adjust it. So don't cut directly on your fabric, okay? This is why I so much love the innovation of pattern paper. You can make all your mistakes on the pattern paper. Alright, so I would go up by 2 inches. You can choose to go by 3 inches. You can choose to go by 1 inch. Alright, but for me, I'll be using 2 inches, and then I'll join the points together with my pattern master like you see me do. Okay, so let's go ahead to cut it out now and look at what we have. This is so nice. Okay, so say no to boring necklines. Say no to boring necklines. All right, so for the square neckline can be like this, or it can be wide as this. All right, and I'll be showing you the two forms so that you can pick the one you prefer. So for my neck width, I'll be using 3 inches for my neck width for the first form, and then for the wider variation, I'll be using 4 inches as my neck width. And then for my depth, remember this is dependent on you, I'll be using 5 inches. And then I'll put back my width of 3 inches on that mark, and I'll square it up. All right, I'm drafting the not so wide square neck first. Square neckline is very easy. And then I would join the lines together, and then I would cut it out. All right. All right, so this is what we have. All right, this is what we have. So this is for the square neck that is not so wide. All right, let's go on to drafting the wider variation. So for that, I'll be using a neck depth of 7 inches. Remember, I already marked 4 inches. All right, so I'll put that 4 inches width on that mark, and then I'll join the points together just as we did before. All right, so I'll go ahead to cut it out, and this is what we have. So this is the wide variation. If you're going to be drafting this neckline, then you need to tighten the neckline. Don't worry, as we go on the channel, I'll be showing you how to tighten a wide neckline so that it doesn't gape and it sits properly on your body. Okay. All right, so the next neckline we'll be working on now is the boat neckline. This neckline usually have a wider neck width, and the neck depth is usually high. All right. Okay, so I'll be using 5 inches as my neck width, and then for my neck depth, I'll be using 2.5 inches. You can use 3 inches if you want. Just note that the neck depth is usually high. Alright, and then I'll use my pattern master to connect the points together. Please, if you have watched till this point, please give this video a thumbs up. This is how you can support me and the channel. Thank you so much, so that YouTube can push this video to those who also need it. This is what we have. For me, this neckline is very classy. All right, so beautiful. So for the off shoulder neckline, you have to determine how deep you want your off shoulder to be. All right, and then what shape do you want your off shoulder to have? All right, so for me, I'll be using a depth of 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches, and then on my armhole area, I'm going to mark 4.5 inches. So this is dependent on you and how deep you want your off shoulder to be. So if you want the shape to be straight, you can just connect it straight like you see me do. And then if you want to give it other shapes too, you can go ahead to do that. If you want to give it a curve like this, just position your pattern master the way you see me do, and then just draw your curve. All right, depending on the shape, there are different shapes you can give your off shoulder neckline. And if you want to give it a sweetheart neckline, so this is how to do that. Okay, all right, so let me go ahead to cut the sweetheart shape so that I can show you what we have. So if you want the sweetheart shape, this is what you have. And then if you want to have the curve, the other curve, just go ahead to cut it. All right. So let me know in the comment section which neckline is your favorite. Mine is the W neckline and the Queen Anne neckline. So your V neckline can be straight like this, or you can choose to give it a little curve like this. I'll be showing you both methods. Okay. So for my V neckline, I'll go in by 3 inches as my neck width, depending on how wide you want your neckline to be. And then for the neck depth, I'll be using 6 inches. Remember, this is dependent on how deep, how wide you want your neckline to be. All right. And then I'll join the points together. If you don't want yours straight like this and you want to give it a little curve, you can as well do that. Watch closely how I place my pattern master for that curve like shape. So I'll go ahead to cut the straight one first so you can see how it look, and then I'll go ahead to cut the curved part, and then I'll show you how it look. So this is how to draft your V neckline. It's very easy. Okay, Very simple to draft. So there are different shapes of asymmetric neckline. It can be like this, or like this, or like this. All right. So first I'll draft my basic round neckline, 3 inches width and 3 inches depth, and I'll join the points together. So this basic neckline will serve as a guide for me in drafting my asymmetric neckline. So I'll go ahead to cut it out, and then I'll open up my pattern paper. The reason why we have to open up the paper to draft this neckline is because the neck width for both the right and the left is not the same. The other ones we've been drafting them on fold because the right and the left neck width are the same, but this one is different. So that's why we have to open up the paper to draft it separately, because the neck width for the right is different from the neck width for the left. All right. So from my shoulder, I'll come in by 2.5 inches. If you want, you can do 2 inches, you can do 3 inches, depending on what you want. Okay. So for me, I'll use 2.5 inches. And then on that mark, I'll come down by 7 inches as my neck depth. Okay. So depending on how deep you want. But for me, I'll be using 7 inches. And I'll connect the points together with a straight line, just as you see me do. Then on my other shoulder area, I'll come out by 1/2 inch. If you want to do 1 inch, you are free to do that, okay? But for me, I'll come out by 1/2 inch, okay? Because I don't want the neck to be too wide. And then from the center front, I'll come down by 1.5 inches. And I'll use my pattern master to join the points together in a curve, alright? So take your time to set your pattern master right, and then connect the points together in a curve, okay? And then I'll join it to the other point, all right, depending on the shape you want. So I'm just blending it at that point. So if you don't want this shape, you can as well just turn your pattern master the way you see me turn it, and then use this shape. I'm going to be marking this with my pencil, all right, just to show you another shape that you can do. So I'll first cut the one in pencil so that I can show you how it look before I go ahead to cut the one in my marker. All right. Okay, so this is what we have. I actually love this one. I really love this one. So beautiful. So now I'll go ahead to cut the one in the marker, and this is what we have. This is also very cute. Okay, please like this video to support my channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So the next neckline that we'll be working on is the U neckline or the scoop neckline. And for this neckline, I'll be using a neck width of 4 inches, and I'll be using a neck depth of 6.5 inches. Okay, and on that point, I'll mark my neck width of 4 inches on that point, and I'll square it up just as you see me do. All right, so I'm using my pattern master to do that. And after squaring it up, so now I'll place my pattern master just as you see me do. Watch carefully as I place my pattern master, and then I'll join the points together. This is so simple to make actually. I'm just blending that area, and then I would cut it out. And our neckline is ready. Look at how beautiful it is. Okay, so say no to boring necklines. Okay, so let's go over to the off shoulder neckline. Okay, and for this I already have my basic neckline drafted already. I showed you in the previous part of the video. All right, and so the next thing, you have to determine how off the shoulder you want your neckline to be. So how off do you want it to be? So for me, I'll be using 5 inches. If you want, you can even choose to take yours all the way to the end of the armhole, all right, depending on the style you're going for. And then I'll connect the points together just as you see me do. And after connecting the point, I'll cut it out. So in besties, please drop a comment for me. Let me know your favorite neckline so far, and also let me know your feedback. Okay, let me know what you think about this video. All right, so for our next neckline, which is the keyhole neckline. So the keyhole neckline has like 2 necklines, the basic neckline and then the keyhole neckline. So I'll be drafting the basic neckline first, going in by a depth of 3 inches and then a neck width of 3 inches just for my basic neckline, and I'll join the points together with my pattern master just as I've showed you previously. So after drafting this basic neckline, let's go on to draft the keyhole neckline. So first I'll determine where I want my keyhole neckline to start and where I want it to end. Okay, so I'll start my keyhole neckline at 4.5. You can choose to use 5, you can choose to use 5.5 depending on you. Okay, and I'll choose my keyhole neckline to end at 6.5 because I don't want it to be revealing. Okay, you can go deeper if you want. So for me, I like to take the middle of those points. Okay, so I'll take the middle of 4.5 and 6.5, and the middle point is 5.5. So I'll mark 5.5 and I'll draw a straight line. So the next thing is to determine how wide you want your keyhole to be. So for me, for the wideness, I'll be using 4 inches, and then I'll mark the 4 inches. Okay, and I'll place my pattern master to join the points together. Alright, so I'll be going for a sweetheart shape. So I'll place my pattern master this way and I'll join the points together. If you want an oval shape, you can place your pattern master this way for an oval shape. But for me, I'll be going with a sweetheart shape. Alright, and that's it for the keyhole neckline. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So watch carefully how I cut it out. And this is what we have. So let me open it up for you guys to see. So this is our keyhole neckline. Beautiful, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So let's work on a wrap neckline. Okay, so I'm going to open my pattern paper up and determine how deep I want my wrap neckline to be. Note that the deeper you go, the more revealing it is. All right, and then for my neck width, I would use 3.5 inches. All right, so I'll mark that point, 3.5 inches. So the next thing is to determine the type of wrap you want. Do you want the half wrap or you want the full wrap, the one that will get to the end? So most of this tutorial, I'll be using a full wrap and I'll just come up by 2.5 inches. Then I'll join the points together to form my wrap neckline. Okay, and after that I'll cut it out. If you have gotten to this point, wow, type wrap in the comments. I want to know my sewing besties that have gotten to this point with me. Okay, remember to cut another one of these. Remember, it's a wrap, so it's supposed to be 2 so that you can place them on top of each other like this. All right, so that they can overlap and wrap. Don't forget to type wrap in the comment section if you got to this point. Okay, the next neckline we'll be working with is the halter neck. Okay, and for the halter neck, I'll be going in with a depth of 3 inches and I'll be going with a neck width of 3 inches. All right, and I'll just join it together with my pattern master. Okay, after which I'll come down by 1 inch. You can choose to come down by 1.5. Okay, depending on what you want, and then I will connect it down to the armhole area. So if you want to learn to sew your own clothes this year from scratch, then you should click on this playlist. All right, I teach you everything from the foundation of sewing. So this is what we have after cutting and opening it up. Thank you so much for watching, my sewing loves. I'll see you in my next video.